Good morning, all, and welcome to Kal-bardr's Corner for this special edition of Coffee with Cal. I am bearing Kal-bardr Gellir, painting the Meridian Cross, painting the Argent Comic, painting the Compostela, painting the Palmer's Lantern, and read to you live and in person from the Southern Consortium camp here at Gulf Force 30. Woo! I have people watching. How cool is that, right? Actual live people. I see people with my actual eyes versus my virtual eyes. So, for those of you out there watching, this is going to be a weird live show. Ordinarily, I have opinions about topics, and we bring people on with opinions about topics. Well, today's opinion is Gulf Wars, and I actually have less opinions than others might. Although I'm mad at Gulf Wars at the moment, we'll get to that in a minute. So that's a thing. It's been a rough 2 days already, but Gulf Wars is still cool. So, before we get started, this show is coffee themed, so we've got to introduce the coffee first. And I want to thank our friends at Odyssey Coffee for, hold on, I'm going to get this giant, supplying me a thermos this morning. I had to go out and buy the thermos, but it is full of coffee. Well, it was full of coffee. It is less coffee in it now because it is now in my cup. I have German chocolate from Odyssey Coffee. It is amazing. We also have a supply of donuts and whatnot that Keith and I picked up for all of our guests here. So if you're not here in Gulf Wars in Southern Consortium Camp, you're missing out. If you're watching this on your phone from somewhere else in Gulf Wars, why are you not here with us hanging out? Because there's coffee and donuts. There you go. All right, so thank you to Odyssey Coffee for hooking us up with that and for being here on site brewing coffee so I don't have to worry about making it. I appreciate that. There are two, hold on, I have to do a thing. Because the owner of Odyssey Coffee also has a YouTube channel that I want to promote for him. And I'll get links up of this on the YouTube or on my Facebook page later. But it is The Frog and Toad and the Toadstead Project. So shout out to them. Thank you for that support. And I'll get links to those after the show. So if you were watching us virtually, make sure to let us know you're out there in the comments. Tell me who you are and where you're from. Because I know you're watching, but I don't know who you are until you tell me. Huh? And why you aren't here at Gulf Wars. At least, okay, two people I know. One of them because she's got to go to Coronation, which is Runa. Hi, Runa. And the other, Patrona, is way up in North Shield. And she's like, it's too far. I'm not doing that. So I get it. So there you go. All right. Coffee first. And now to the topic. So Gulf Wars, this is the 30th Gulf Wars. We've missed two now, right? One got canceled, then one didn't happen. They just kept rolling the 30 over. So this is actually the 30th Gulf Wars. We're in Lumberton, Mississippi, which is southern-ish Mississippi, for those unfamiliar with the area. We're technically in Glen Albin, but this is a joint war between who? Who are our principals of this war? Do you want to come tell us about that? I think certain dukes are part of that grouping, aren't they? Come on, Robin. All right. Introduce yourself to the folks on camera. You've been with me before, but just in case.
So I'm Ruffin. Nice to see everybody out there. Virtually see everybody. So every year Gulf Wars is here in Mississippi, the kingdoms of Onstiora and Trimaris, which are on opposite ends of the other sides of Glen Albin, come to war in the middle, and everybody beats the crap out of each other for a week or so and learns a bunch of things and drinks and has classes and all that kind of stuff. And at the end, everybody goes home. But the nice thing about Gulf Wars is it's kind of its subtitle, its tagline is "A War with No Enemies." So we're out there fighting. We're doing our best to win. We're, whether it's on the field or arts and sciences competitions or anything else, but everybody's here to have a good time. We're hanging out in each other's camps, it doesn't matter what kingdom you're in. It's a really fun time, and it's probably one of the best SCA events that's out there, in my opinion.
That's true. So I think it's funny that Gulf Wars is Onstiora and Trimaris now have to go through two different kingdoms to fight each other.
Yep.
There's literally borders between them now. So Meridian and Kal-bardr are like, we're just stuck in the middle of this nonsense.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to fight in our own kingdoms. That's fighting somebody else's, right?
Just wreck our land.
Yeah,
thanks, appreciate
exactly,
it. Well, actually, we're wrecking James's land. He's not here. I can say that. We're good. You're actually James. You're watching. Why aren't you here? You said you were coming to see me. So sorry, we're talking bad about you. All right. So Gulf Wars is how big is the site? Do you know? Gigantic.
I mean, it holds 3,000 or 4,000 people easy, and so it's plenty of space.
So if you've been to an SCA before for like a couple hundred, that's really impressive to look at. Mm-hmm. Then you pull into this, and you're like, what in the actual hell did I just walk into? Because it's crazy. It's a whole different world here. So what was your first Gulf Wars?
So my first Gulf Wars was, I don't know what the number is, but it was Gulf Wars 2004. Okay. So it's coming up on 20 years.
I was like, that's almost 20 years ago.
It makes me feel really old. But no, yeah, it's I've been doing this for quite a long time. I've been to every single Gulf Wars since then, just because I had so much. I think I'd been playing for 3 months at that point, because I started in January that year. And I had so much fun at my first one. I was like, I'm doing this every year. I don't care. Lots and lots of fun. And just coming from a size perspective, if you're going to walk from one end to the other, it probably takes a good 15, 20 minutes, whether it's east, west, or north, south. So that kind of gives you a sense of the scale of the site. It's pretty big.
And that's if you're like hard walking the entire time, like straight walk. Yeah. If you have little tiny legs, it's longer than that. I promise. I walked with Kisa from parking to here, and it took us that long, but she has tiny feet.
I got long legs.
Yeah, I have really long legs. I can get there in 15 minutes. Right, exactly. Yeah. There's a stride problem difference between the two of us. So you guys don't know, I'm about 6'3", and Robin's not much shorter than I am. So we've got the stride outreach on us. So okay, when you walked into the first Gulf War, what was your first impression of that? I know it's been 20 years.
Yeah,
try to remember.
No, I can remember. I mean, it was overwhelming. I mean, we pull in, you show up at the site, and then you're coming in, and you kind of see what they call 5 corners, which is basically three roads coming together, and at that point, you kind of start getting a sense of the scale, because you can see way down that road and way down that road and way down that road. And all you're seeing is tents and event people and folks in garb. And you're like, wow, this place is big. I mean, if you want to compare it to Pennsic, it's not going to be as big. Nothing's as big as Pennsic. But it's probably, the site is probably about half the size of the Pennsic site, maybe 40%, something like that. But it can be overwhelming if you haven't been here before, or especially if you're a newer person, because there's just, you don't know where to start. You're like, where am I camping, and who do I need to talk to, and where does everything happen, and all that kind of stuff. But thankfully, Gulf Wars always has a really good event staff that there's an information point you can go to saying, I'm lost, where do I go? They'll be more than happy to help you out and make sure that you have a good time here as well.
Yeah, coming in today, so one of the complaints Keith always has about is signage and sort of knowing where to go. And I noticed we had to go out this morning to get the thermos for coffee and stuff, and it was coming back was our first time, because we came in on what's today? Today's Sunday. We came in Friday, and of course we came in before stuff set up. Oh God, sorry about that. So coming in with that stuff set up, and no sign, no people, were like, I don't know where everything is. We're having to drive around. Today coming back was like that first Wars actually open. We're getting to see all the signs up, and so when you pull in, it was the funniest thing. And this is Kisa's first war. Kisa is now off screen over here. I'm pointing. Coming into the into Troll, and there's all the fake cutout medievally people, and I was like, look, it's Gulf Wars with medieval people. I was like, I feel like I'm actually at war now, because I hadn't seen those yet. That was really cool. But there's actually signs up, and you actually get to find stuff, and there's people at every point where you might need to go. Oh God, I don't know where I'm going. Especially getting into Troll. I did get yelled at coming in the wrong direction, though. That was the thing.
Yeah. A few of the roads are
trying to drive the wrong direction.
Yeah, a few of the roads are one directional, because they don't want to cause a bunch of traffic jams with people coming in, dropping off their site stuff, and then leaving, kind of stuff.
Because some of those roads are technically two-way, but they're not actually. I get 2 Priuses would fit, but not 2. People drive giant trucks here. I found a truck yesterday. I could fit my Prius in the back of. That was impressive. That's a big truck. So. All right. So, favorite Gulf Wars story out of all the Gulf Wars you've been to? What's your top story?
That's a tough one, because there's just been so many good memories here. I mean, I'm not going to start off with the story of Gulf NATO. I'll bring that one up a little bit later.
That's a whole topic at the end. We'll start with that.
I mean, I'll probably say that so Gulf Wars, I don't know, this is probably 2008 or something like that, was one of the few years that it actually snowed here. It wasn't just cold. We actually had snowfall. It was not a ton of accumulation, especially if from you up north, you're going to be like, whatever. We maybe got a half inch, an inch of snow. But, I mean, this is southern Mississippi, so it almost never happens.
That's unusual here,
Yeah, so I just remember a bunch of us got together in one person's big tents. They had a very large pavilion-style tent. And half people didn't know each other. But it was kind of an example of the camaraderie of all the folks who are here, that we're all weirdos. We're all here to have fun. And we all got clustered in this person's tent. He happened to have a big propane space heater, which was why a lot of us were there. Yeah. But, everybody brought in, they went and got food. They went and got drinks. They brought games. And everybody went out of there. They may not have known anybody as they went in, but you came out of there having friends.
Right.
And for I met people there that I'm still friends with now, and we could be like, yeah, we were there. That was fun.
I remember the day it snowed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a real like impressively powerful story that has lots of bloodshed or anything like that. But like I said, it's very indicative of the camaraderie and the fun that can be had in an event like this, even though it's so big. I mean, because a lot of people will think, oh, it's that big, I'm not going to know anybody. I'm going to be like all for myself. Like, no, you will come out of here making friends.
Yeah, so that's honestly, this is a good, let's say, microcosm, I guess, of the SCA. The SCA as overall is a very helpful culture.
Mm-hmm.
We want to work together. We want to do things. It's a very communal sort of space. I've noticed that, especially even here, because it's a different environment than most are used to. Like, so we go to a weekend event. If something breaks, you go to Walmart 10 feet away. It's not that big a deal. Like here, it's a half-hour drive to Walmart. Trust me, I've made it twice already. I know where it's at. Also, not a Dollar General anywhere in this area has thermoses, apparently. That's a hot commodity. You cannot find one. Walmart's where I had to go this morning.
They said, I quote, nowhere's in Lumberton you'll find
Yeah,
one.
nowhere in Lumberton will you find a thermos, apparently. You have to go to Wiggins to get a thermos. I was like, okay.
Somebody open up a thermos store in Lumberton.
Yeah, if you open a thermos store, I'll support you. Not a single adult beanie in Lumberton.
Wow.
All right, in Wiggins. All right, no, so the stores around here suck, apparently, is what we're hearing.
So bring all your stuff with you or
yeah.
get it by it on the way in.
And like Keith and I joked, it was like we brought a trailer and a Prius full of stuff, and we still had to go to the store twice to get things. We still forgot things, and that's apparently common. I see people shaking their heads like, yeah, that's a thing you just have to do around here. So you mentioned snow a minute ago. I'll tell my story now because it's relevant. So we were here Friday. Keith and I were early on helping some merchants, and it was very windy Friday night and Saturday night. So we're set up. We've got a 10 by 20 easy up pavilion. Got it staked down. We're good to go. And then the wind kicks up, and our doors come flying open, ripping our seams, ripping the zippers open. I'm like, that sucks. But it's like stupid cold and raining. I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. So we tarped the tent up. We tarped it over and said, well, now it's too loud. I can't sleep in here. So we got our car and we brought our car down in the little hole next to the tent and said, okay, we'll get in the car. It's warm. We can sleep in it. 4:30 comes. And there goes my tent. So we're in Southern Consortium. We're in their feast hall currently. New doors, by the way, stained, pretty doors they put up in their feast hall. It's not quite finished in here, but I figured the doors made a good backdrop. We watched my tent go on top of their shower house. It's next door. The only thing that stopped it from rolling down into the ravine was my bed hooking on the foot. So that sucks, right? But you're like, Cal, how does snow play into this? It was 4:30 in the morning, and it was below freezing and raining. Anybody know what that puts together? It snowed at friggin' Gulf Forge last night, folks. Or Saturday night, whatever night it was. Friday night. It was cold, and I was like, Keith looked at it and goes, what is that? And you could see the rain falling, but like not falling. So it wasn't snowing enough, but it was doing this. It snowed. It's a thing. If the rain was fluttering, if it flutters, it snowed. So yeah, let's say. So people talk about the weather at Gulf Forge. I think that's the thing we've heard. The thing that Keith has heard probably the most was, what's the weather like at Gulf Forge? Yes.
Yeah, it can,
all of it.
Yeah, it can be anywhere from, like we mentioned, snow, and I think last night it got down to about 20. But then sometimes it can approach, I wouldn't say it ever gets up to 100, but it's in the high mid 90s, something like that on occasion. So if you're coming to the event, make sure that you as you get closer to the event, check the weather forecast, but be prepared to kind of deal with the extremes.
Yeah, just pack everything you own.
Yeah,
pack the entirety of your
when it rains, it doesn't tend to like get real huge big thunderstorms. Asterisk.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Most time if it rains here, it's just kind of a soaking rain. But yeah, definitely be ready for the extremes.
But so on that, so we talk about the community of that. So our tent died. I mean, legs broken, supports are busted. I've got nothing. So we jumped out, pulled it back down because now we don't want it falling into the ravine and ripping and breaking other stuff. So Master Joffrey and Jacques, people here in Southern Consortium, jumped out of their tents, helped us pull it down, helped us rip the walls off. And that was like, it's 4:30 in the morning. They want to be sleeping right now, but they're out helping people in camp. Got it tied down. Said, okay, we'll deal with this in the morning. So we got up, realized it's a lost cause. We went to Walmart trying to fix it, and it's shot. So Jacques actually offered me his daughter, Eswin, who is, I'm sure is going to run in here in a minute because she can't not. She's ridiculous. And okay. So Eswin is currently hosting a sculpture competition on the porch of this feast hall. So that's awesome. I'll have her like, I have to get a picture of the winning sculpture out there. Anyway, so she had a spare tent that they put us up in for the week. That's that community, right? So they don't want to have their daughter in the tent with them. That wasn't their plan for the week. but they'd rather us still be here
Mhm.
and make sure we were well taken care of. And,
Yeah.
and that's, I don't care what camp you're in or where you are in this war, that's what's going to happen. Somebody will make sure you're taken care of somewhere.
Yeah, and that's why we have the tagline of a war with no enemies. I mean, it really, it's not just a tagline. They mean it.
So you brought a guest with you. You want to introduce them? Do they have any Gulf War stories over there?
Oh, yeah. So my Squire Bjorn, who's right over there, who's now looking at me like, why the hell are you asking me to come up here?
Yeah.
But I'm totally going to throw him a little bit under the bus.
Did you see the bus there? I felt it.
Yeah. So this is me, my Squire Bjorn, and he's going to talk to you about his Gulf War story.
Thank you, Grace. Oh, God.
Oh, die, Cal.
So these benches in Southern Consortium are a thing. Come on down. I'll slide this light up over just a smidgen. There we go. I forgot it's a joint effort. If somebody gets up, you have to plan for that. So, Bjorn, introduce yourself, please.
I'm Bjorn. Hi.
Do you have more of a name? Maybe some titles to go with it? Where are you from?
I am Centurion Bjorn Hauksson. I'm from the Elfsea Barony in Anstjora.
Oh, nice. Okay. So another Oscar, of course, with Raffen. So what is your Gulf Wars history? Tell us about your Gulf Wars
Okay, so
stuff.
my first Gulf Wars would have been back in 2013.
Okay.
So I just started playing in 2012, and I was woefully unprepared. So I showed up with like two outfits. This is my first real event I'd gone to that wasn't like just a day trip.
Right. With two outfits for a week-long event.
Yes. Two
Okay.
outfits.
Fair enough. All right.
Two outfits, my armor and weapons, and that was it. Like I
So you brought the
Trekked-
armor. That's the important
I
part.
trekked in my little Mitsubishi Mirage all the way from Dallas to get here, and yeah, it was fun. And so the first day, I get here at night. I'm walking back from parking. I'm at Merchants Row, and I pulled out my violin and I started just walking and playing.
Nice.
And a young lady ran out of one of the merchants' tent and gave me this piece of hand-braided cord. I still have that piece of largesse in my violin case. And it was just, I was like, oh, this is magical. Oh, this is so awesome. And so then I pretty much wandered around playing. I got to I met Misha from Volgamund. I'm like, oh, it's Misha from Volgamund. And he's like, do you know any Turlo O'Carolan pieces? Could you teach me one? I'm like,
We'll figure it out, I guess.
so,
Sure. Yeah.
yes, I do. And wow. And
I'll go to the lobby. All right, I think we're back. We're back. Let us know you can hear us or see us. I lost internet for a minute there. I think we're back on. All right, so you were teaching pieces to
I worked with Misha. We kind
Misha.
of
There we go.
and then after he kind of picked through it, he picked it up real fast. Then we just sat there and jammed, and we were just hanging out on Merchants Row jamming with Misha.
Right.
And I was like, I'm a huge fan. He's like, stop. I'm like, okay.
I think so. Gulf War. So two things I want to hit on this. So Merchants Row, right?
Yes.
So if you've ever been to like a Renaissance fair, that's what Merchant Row itself feels like. Is you have it's a very Renaissance fair like style thing with all the merchants set up and people strolling out playing music, and then there's all the camping outside of that. That's everything else, right? That's like Merchants Row is great and all, but there's a whole lot of other war around that, right? So like the Merchants Row is such an interesting spot to walk into because like the rest of it's really cool. Like all the camps are decorated, all the camps are pretty, but you walk into Merchants Row, you feel like you're actually in like a medieval, villagey environment. I mean, some of the tents are obviously like that's clearly a pop-up. That's clear. There's somebody's van hiding behind their tent, but like some of them are really well decorated, really interesting. But you have people like this who start playing music, and that just like the ambiance of that just kills me. Like because if I'd have heard that, right, I'd have done the same thing. You're like, oh, because that just a little bit of tinkling in the background helps make it a lot, right? So, all right. So that was your first Gulf Wars?
That was my first Gulf Wars.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first Gulf Wars. There's so many awesome stories.
Pick one. Tell us one.
Okay.
We've got time.
So let's see. Okay. So my second Gulf Wars, which would have been 2014, is when I squired to Raffin.
Okay.
And
Good choice, by the way. He's a good guy.
He's awesome. So we were in a battle. It was a bridge battle, and Raffin went out there with a spear and was just taking. And then all of a sudden, his spear gets knocked out into the ravine. And so then he has another spear. So I'm taking spears from people and like running them forward and giving him a spear. Every time every time someone knocks a spear out of his hands, I would hand him another one. So it was Raffin and the magic reappearing spear.
Right.
And then in the course of events, he got gacked, and I was playing whack-a-mole with the Dane axe.
Right. Yeah.
And the next thing I know, my feet leave the ground because the Trimaris outflanked me and column charged me.
Oh God.
And so I was like, oh no. So reached out with the axe and caught the second guy back in the column charge with the Dane axe. And so all of us go over the hay bale.
Oh.
And so
usually the hay bales are like walls or bridges or some sort of delineating. So
we're all supposed to be dead at this point. And I hear Marshall screaming, hold, because I'm under 600-800 pounds of
the entire Trimaris
armor.
flank at this point. Yeah.
And so I'm like, and then they're like, is he okay? And then I think he's laughing. Okay, lay on.
We're good. They'll figure this out in a minute. That's honestly like, so we haven't talked about fighting at all. So thank you for bringing the fighting up, man. So the fighting is a weird thing to me. I'm a heavy fighter, and like I've fought in melees before, and there's a thing when you got 30, 40 people to a side, then there's 300 or 400 to a side or 1,000 to a side. That's a whole different environment, right?
And wait till they start drumming.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, because again, that ambiance of the war field, like again, it's nice when you're there and you're getting to fight. I tunnel vision into the fight. I don't see the extra, but when you hear the drums play, or you hear the music playing, you hear the extra going on, and the war chants start, and Callantyrs start singing, and you're like, whoa, this is cool. It looks a lot better. It looks a lot more.
It adds in the gaps.
Right.
It fills in the gaps so that it kind of creates the immersion that we're going for, and that makes such a difference.
Worst Gulf War story.
Ooh.
Like worst experience. Would never want to do it again. Worst one. Because we can't just talk about the good stuff, right?
Okay. So,
Okay.
right.
Come sit. Yeah, grab snacks.
My wife and I were here at Gulf Wars, and we were already having kind of an interesting time of it. And then she ran across a canned cheese meal plan. And so
Hold on. That was a lot of words you just said there. Canned cheese meal plan.
Okay, so one of the nights for the meal plan, apparently there was canned cheese involved, and my wife was like, "That is not happening."
Yeah.
So we weren't married yet. We were actually in different camps. We were camped with different groups. I was like, "Nope, not happening here. I'm buying you a meal plan with our group." Brought her over, and Master Kalen's an amazing cook, and yeah, we got her squared away there, and then we went to try to get her on the field, and her armor got bounced.
That happens, yeah.
And so she was on vacation, and I drove her back to Dallas.
Just done.
No, she said I'm done. I'm like, okay, cool. So we packed up the tent, and everyone thought we broke up.
Oh no, which does happen in Gulf Wars. Relationships start and end here.
So,
That's a thing.
but no, everyone was like, oh man, that they're gone. But no, I took her back to Dallas. We went and saw some art museums.
So at least it ended well for you.
It was great. Yeah, no, it was just it was. Occasionally you get a wonky one. I was not here for Gulf NATO. I actually registered for Gulf NATO, and I got a bad vibe like 2 days prior, and I was like, I really don't think I'm going to go, and I didn't go. And then I was like, ha, I didn't go.
So it's your fault then. That's what. All right, he just admitted it. Everybody heard that on camera. It's Bjorn's fault. All right. Thank you, Bjorn. Appreciate you being here, man.
Yes.
Good having you. Who's next? Come on. We got history telling. I was told if I want to talk to one person about Gulf Wars and knew all the history. Yes.
I don't know about all the history. Hi, I'm Mistress Christina from Meridiers. I won't give you the whole Gaelic name because it's way too much.
It's like Scrabble letters.
It is. There are no actual letters. They're just in a pile. Yeah. But I actually co-autocrated Gulf Wars 26.
Okay.
So I have a pretty good knowledge of the thing as a whole.
Right.
Not all of it, because I haven't like run every department or anything like that, but I have a pretty good
Because
base.
this is like a business, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. As of that point, we had roughly 21 departments
Okay.
that are running multiple things at different times. So it's pretty
Can you name all
intensive.
21 of them?
Not anymore. I could then.
Right.
But you have the exchequer, you have troll, you have sanitation, you have equestrian, you have hounds, you've got camping, which is also land.
Right.
You've got the actual tournaments. There's fencing, which has a different department
Right, of
head.
course, yeah.
There's water bearing. So it just goes, it's a huge endeavor, and
Right.
everyone's a volunteer. If you've been to Penzic, some of Penzic is run by the Coopers,
Mhm.
but everything here is volunteer.
Right.
run.
Yeah. Sort of the actual land
Mhm.
management itself, like
Yeah.
the making sure we have power, all that. That's managed
Yeah.
by the site.
Right, by
rest
the
of it,
site.
we
But
manage
everything
ourselves,
else we
right.
do ourselves here. So it's pretty crazy.
So,
to
I mean, how
run.
does somebody like that, as the autocrat or co-autocrat,
Mhm.
how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that many people, that many departments? Like, what does that look like?
So what we did, so some people have like 3 or 4 deputies. We did a co-autocrat. My co-autocrat will be here today or tomorrow. And we split it into, I have a background in contracts and money management. She has a background in like equestrian and scribal.
Oh, sure.
So we split the departments in half, and she got like the stuff that she knew more about, and I got the stuff that I knew more about.
So you got all the paperwork side
I
of
did,
things.
I
You're saying,
did, I
got you.
did. But you know, we recompeted contracts. We went out looking for the best prices, because there's a contract for tents, there's a contract for porta potties, there's a contract for golf carts, there's a contract for radios. So like we went out and recompeted those and tried to get the best deal for our people. And then she handled like making sure horses were safe, making sure what all needs to go, because again, there's shots, there's paperwork, you got to bring all these things.
I had to sign a waiver coming in saying,
Had to
yes, I know
sign a
there's horses
waiver
here.
that
Yes,
there
they're
are horses.
dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like, if you don't know that, I'm a little worried about you, but okay.
That's the SCA is very legal scared, I think is the word.
They
Or
are.
aware. We'll go
They're
aware.
aware.
SCA, they're legal aware.
They
Right.
are.
Yeah, the horse waivers. I've signed up for it. It's like the one you can't get out of. I've got a blue card saying I'm going to fight and do dumb
And if
stuff.
I get hurt,
it's
yeah.
my fault. But the horses, I still have to sign. I'm like, come on. I think my sword's much more dangerous than that horse is, because I know where that horse is. Like, it's over there. I'm fine.
But yeah, but it's pretty intensive. I know one of the gentlemen that ran it, I think in 2019, before everything went COVID on us. He ran it by himself, but he had 3 deputies that he split departments between, because I don't think it would. I'm not saying there's nobody that could do it by themselves, but it would be extremely difficult.
I think you've always got to have somebody manning the head and the department heads, right?
Right.
Even if you don't do it that way. When you've got 21, 25, whatever departments now,
Yeah.
that's a lot for one person. I mean, it's 25 people.
Right.
So if you split that in half, you're looking at 12 and a half, 13 people. That's a little more manageable. That's a normal like event size for most.
And we've got great staff here. They have been on staff for years.
Why, thanks. I try. This is my first time ever doing anything in Gulf Wars. I'm like, I volunteered today. I'm like, I'll do a thing.
But yeah, they work really hard. They're really professional. They know their departments. But there's still like a lot of, what do I do about this? What do we do about that? Hey, this broke down since last year. What do we do now? Oh, somebody drove a golf cart into the lake. How do we fix that?
There's a golf. That's okay. That's a story. How did the golf cart get in the lake?
So what happened was, this actually happened after we closed Gulf Wars. I want to say in 2016, maybe. Who we assume was probably some teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
The golf carts were no longer being used. I'm pretty sure a teenager decided to take one joyriding.
We're blaming a teenager. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, all right.
Maybe young 20s. Yeah.
Right,
but
exactly. Yeah. Mid
still
40s,
mentally,
wearing laurel leaves on his head and a white belt, probably. Just saying, just an
Just
idea.
kidding. Actually drove one of the golf carts into the lake. And then we got a call going, there's a golf cart in the lake. And yeah,
I can just imagine sitting and everybody's resting after Gulf Wars and, hey guys, there's a golf cart in the lake. And you just look at the thing and go, that's the thing we got to deal with now.
Yeah. I quit.
Right. Yeah.
I quit.
I know, I'm done. I'm out.
I'm out. So, we had to go get the gentleman that owns the site actually pulled it out for us, went and got like a tractor or something. But then now we have extra insurance on the golf carts.
Oh, good.
Because they're rentals.
It's a learning experience,
It
right?
is. It always is. And like we had to pay for that golf cart to be repaired because when you sign that contract, you say, I'll take care of
If it
it.
breaks, it's mine. Yeah.
So it was. There's lots of interesting behind the scenes stories.
I'm sure.
We've had electrical fires in tents.
Okay. All right.
We've had the person that wanted to bring their pet rabbit, and I couldn't explain why a pet rabbit hopping around camp in Mississippi would probably not be
I've heard that
good.
story before, actually.
Yeah, and it's not the rabbit; they're prey. They're
Right.
prey.
Yeah. That's
We're in
lunch
the
around here,
wilds.
what they call it. Yeah.
I mean, you literally could just pick it up and run off, and I wouldn't even put it past some of the people here
Right, yeah.
to cook a rabbit. So
I'll speak for the camp I'm in currently. If they saw a rabbit hopping through this camp, that becomes dinner. That's what that is. They don't care. That's free food.
Fried rabbit.
Somebody will cook it, probably Tim. So there was a question here. And I think this is appropriate for somebody who's autocrated. And we'll talk about Gulf NATO a little more later. How do you, as the staff members, deal with weather extremes?
So there are a couple of buildings that are standard buildings, what they call like the feast hall here, which is a normal building, and also a bead hall, which is also a structural building. And in general, you're always welcome to take refuge in either of those buildings in case of extreme weather. But to some degree, there's no way for us to until after the storm go around and
manage the whole of this camp,
manage the site. Yeah. As they mentioned, it's actually pretty large. And if you get to the farthest corners, you're probably talking more like a 45-minute walk from, say, Equestrian all the way to the farthest point over where we camp. So, we do have a plan in place. We actually do have an emergency management person who works with FEMA, who is
part of the staff.
Who is part of the
wow,
staff.
okay.
And she usually both gives us warnings. She brings the fancy laptop that can go through any kind of weather.
The NOAA laptop kind of thing.
That sort of thing.
Have snacks, please.
And she has a plan. But, as they say, plans last until first contact with the enemy. Yeah. So sometimes no one expected what happened at Gulf NATO.
Right.
We're used to storms.
Right. Yeah.
It rains
it's
here.
It's going to storm here. It's going to happen.
Southern Mississippi. It gets hot. It rains. That's just part of the norm. But and one thing that didn't get mentioned earlier is this is a very sandy area.
Right.
So even if it rains really hard for 30 minutes, it drains. It drains almost instantly. So unlike other places where you'd be in knee-deep mud, give it a half hour and it'll be fine.
Short of like Wagon Killer Road that's made of clay, it's going to be slippery for the day. Yeah.
Right. But in general, your camp will be fine given a few minutes.
Right.
But there have been some.
So I think we've said the word Gulf NATO enough. So tell us your experience with Gulf NATO.
So that was interesting. We were in court. We had Meridian Court at that point. And it was not a true tornado. We call it Gulf NATO because it's a funny way. It's a much catchier name. What they actually said it was a microburst. So all of the air just came down and pushed everything. It took down tents. It took down pavilions. It took down chairs. I had one piece of pottery broken. It was the new mug I just bought.
Oh no, of course, yeah.
But so the dining tent wasn't so bad, but it did try to take our shower with someone in it. So someone was actually holding on to the sides of the shower, trying not to fly away.
I think that's always your worst fear when you go to the bathroom or shower. The minute you take your clothes off, something's going to happen. Yeah. It's like the bad horror movies. When you take a shower, they're going to die.
It's going to happen. We have a long hall here, a actual wooden structure in early period life. So a lot of people down on that end of camp took refuge in the long hall and then just stayed there overnight until they could assess what had happened. The people that were out on the field with court mostly ran for bead hall or the cabins that are used as royal encampments. Because at that point, if you burst through somebody's door, they're going to let you in. They're not going to leave you out.
There are exceptions to the rules.
Right, because there was also hail. It was hail and wind and rain. So it was intense. Yeah. It was intense, but I'm one of those people that doesn't panic until after the fact. So it was like, get everybody under safety, get everybody under some place where they won't be hit by hail. Then I'll have an anxiety attack.
Then we'll fall apart
Then we'll
tomorrow.
fall
That's tomorrow's
apart.
problem. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think, going into logic mode works. That's what you got to do, right?
that's
So, yeah, like I hear people talk about Golfnado a lot. I was not here. This is only my second golf course. My first one was 12-ish years ago, so I've got a pretty good gap between. And everybody talk about Golfnado, and like their eyes just sort of glaze over. Like they hear the choppers flying in, they're like, "Oh yeah, I was there. I saw that." I was like, "Whoa, this is a thing." It's like I hear these stories of like the downfall of that.
And I know it was scary, but what I remember about it is the people that ran out to hold down pavilions,
Right.
the people that ran out to make sure kids got under safety. After it was all over with, I had like loaned my cloak to a little boy, and my husband was like, "Get her back to camp. She is turning blue,"
Right.
because I was wet. And like one of our sergeants in in our army actually like frog marched me back to camp at double time because I wasn't going to go. I was making sure other people were
working,
okay. And so like, that's what I remember.
Right.
Not, yes, in the moment it was scary.
Yeah.
But what I remember is the people who loaned out tents so that other people wouldn't be homeless, the people who, gave out clothes, people who fired up their kitchens and made sure everybody had food to eat. So I try to think about those things.
Right, which I think is, and then it's a positive way, and that's really interesting to see again, we talk about the community of the SCA,
Yes,
the community of Gulf Wars, and it's amazing to see it because you've got some people coming from such different walks of life. We see people here like I've never met before. Honestly, we're both in the same kingdom. The first time you and I met
in person, yeah.
because even Meridian is sort of large. We've got people coming in from all over the world here to here.
Yeah.
And you're actually going to meet these people in it's family across the board. Right?
I mean, they might be far-flung cousins you don't know,
but
they're
family, right?
And
Yeah, we
you're
take
going
care
to
of
take
folks.
care of them. Even people you may not like all that
Right.
much, you're not going to let them like freeze to death
Everybody
or
has that one
starve.
uncle.
Yeah.
It's that one, yeah.
You're like,
I mean,
but here,
Frank
have a
can
cloak.
come, but like I don't like it. Yeah. All right. Best Gulf War story.
Oh goodness, I've been coming to Gulf Wars since 2001, so that's like 20 years more or less.
I was like, yeah, you're a couple years there.
Got a couple, and that's a lot. I love the parties. I love the themed parties that they will have. Like this year, there's a theme of Greek mythology,
Right. Yeah.
and that's always fun to see what people put together. You're amazed by what people will drag out into the wilds of Mississippi.
We're in the woods here, folks.
We are.
There's like this is not like they're just down the street. I mean, it's an hour and a half from me, so it's actually my house. But so that's so. Oh, there we go. Hey, we're back. Okay. Oh my God! Thank you. Stop that. It's my laptop, man. It's acting up. So big Friday blowout. It's
the end of the war. Kind of everyone's ready for that last.
Right. I'm excited for this year because like it's going to be all the booze, take all the things. Because if you're an adult, you can go to this party. But during the week, there's parties too, right? So talk about some of those. Tell us some party stories.
Starting about Tuesday, Wednesday, you start getting into parties. A lot of the kingdoms host socials. There's Anstioran Chili Night, which is great that night and not so great the next morning.
Night, yeah. It's not hungover, but it's chilly, so it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Does it have beans in it? It better not.
should
Yeah, it
not.
shouldn't exactly. Yeah.
You sneak in and
Yeah.
dump beans in when they're not looking.
Watch out, my buddy Corbin out there. Did you say he just heard that? I don't know where he was.
He
He
heard
heard chili. He got beans in it. Smash him, I do what I want. All right. Hi, y'all. So we're talking about parties. We talked about Jello shot party. We talked about the so the Meridian Socials here.
Meridian
I've plugged the
Socials
Meridian
usually
Social
really
this
good,
year. So his lordship Drogo side, he's doing Vikings Raid of Paris.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So
I
we
couldn't
have,
decide what to wear with
yeah.
Vikings raiding Paris. I'm not sure
It's fine.
to go with.
But there is going to be we have little shot catapults. It's like beer pong, except the little catapults. I'm so excited.
Well, they had a Roman themed party once, so we all did our Celt thing because that's what I primarily am is an Iron Age Celt, and we woaded up and took our spears and invaded the Roman party.
Oh,
and,
nice!
You know, give us all your gold and drinks.
It's like yeah, high five. So that's actually something too. We'll get that in a second. We'll trade out again. Worst Gulf War story, other than Gulf NATO. We talked about that one.
I mean, honestly, I don't really have bad memories of Gulf Wars. It's cold sometimes. I don't like that. Last night was not my favorite.
It was chilly, yeah.
But, you know, I have sheepskins and wool, and I was fine. I don't really enjoy walking around the rain, but it doesn't keep me from going to classes. Right. It doesn't keep me from sitting under the dining fly with my friends, talking about whatever crazy things we were going to get up to the next night. So, honestly, it would be more of a personal thing. The last Gulf Wars COVID, I got a phone call that my aunt died.
Oh no!
And but that's a person. That's not a Gulf Wars thing. But you know what I got was an offer from someone who was heading home early to take me home, so I wouldn't miss. So my husband could stay here because he had the vehicle that had all the stuff, so I could get home in time for a funeral. So that's the kind of thing that people here do. I mean, people in the SCA do this, but Meridian is each other.
This is Southern hospitality.
Southern hospitality. And we will include Glen Aubin since they're our offspring. Right. They're okay.
A fence from the crowd. There we go.
I joined the SCA when Glen Aubin wasn't a kingdom yet.
Right.
So
we had more lands than we thought we did.
Yeah. And then they wandered off. But here we are, still department heading Gulf Wars.
All right. So behind the scenes story. Give me one more behind the scenes story, and then we'll swap out.
Probably. I mean, there's all kind of weird stuff that happens, but the ones that make good stories are like the guy that wanted to bring his emotional support ferrets. And I'm like, I can't let you bring ferrets onto site. It's against
You have a
the.
lot of animal problems.
We
here.
do.
There's a lot.
We
of,
do.
Was there a parrot at one point? I heard.
There, yeah,
yeah,
there
the
was.
parrots,
That was
yeah,
a
okay.
different year, but there
Yeah.
was somebody, and I'm like, if you just bring the ferrets and stick them under your bed, I wouldn't know. But you can't ask me about it.
Ask
And
for
then
forgiveness, then ask for
Right,
permission.
and then
right?
and then it got into legalities, and if this is my home, then you're violating the ADA Act.
Oh goodness,
and-
yeah.
And then it got into what if I just bring my ferrets and leave them in the car? And I'm like, no, you can't leave ferrets in the car for a week, like, because it can get up, like you mentioned, if it's 80 out there, it's 100 and something in your car. So like you just get some really weird, like this conversation went on for 2 or 3 weeks. And then I had a young lady who was having trouble registering on the website, and so sent a message to the Gulf Wars email, which goes to the autocrats.
Right.
And like I ended up calling her peer in another kingdom to help walk her through, because like I can't help you with the computer.
I'm not tech support. I don't do that.
And I can't tell you what's going wrong on your end
Right.
from another kingdom. So you get some interesting, like, what do we do with
Right.
this? What, like, how do you? I don't want to leave somebody who's just having trouble.
Right.
But also, like, I really can't fix your computer from here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the website's
like,
working.
the
We clearly
website's
see it.
working. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've added an app.
Yep.
A couple of,
It's,
so
it's
that's
pretty handy, actually.
really
I
handy.
picked it up, yeah.
There's announcements. There's when things change, it pops up on the phone, and so we're trying to get a little more with the times.
The 21st century
The
versus
21st
1600s.
century.
Yeah.
But like, that is always a struggle. The SCA does tend to run a little behind modern technology. Wonder
Change is
why.
tough, right? Yeah, I think change is tough, and especially when you're running an event for now 30 years.
Yeah.
Wanting to change things over time, it's like you can make little things.
Right. You change
Having
too
an app's
fast.
a
and
big change.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think the last 2 years going on the last 2 years, if that's really kind of helped move that along?
It has.
So, hold on a second. So the question was, has the last 2 years of COVID at this point in the internet age changed Gulf Wars?
And I do think it has. I believe yes. The technology was matured, and then COVID, for all its problems, also gave us time to slow down, to say, like, so often you're running at full tilt all
Right.
the time. When do you find time to build an app? When do you find time to revamp Troll? Like, it's all you can do sometimes just
The
to make
bare
it
minimum,
happen.
right.
Especially because, like I said, we're all volunteer run here. So if you don't have enough people just to do the bare essentials, you're not going to be able to do more.
Right.
So yeah, I do
With
think
21 departments, figure even
Right.
5 volunteers per department, you're talking 100 people.
right
Yeah.
easily, and
Yeah.
we're always on the lookout for extra volunteers for different departments. There is a warrant point
Right.
for volunteering. We've got some things that can be done by anybody, but there are others that need to be a more specific, like you can't work exchequer unless you're over 18. There's certain things you have to do for certain departments but like kids help water bear.
Right.
Kids help do other things. I know they collect kindling for some of the
Right.
merchants. So like we try to put everybody that's willing to work.
Right.
But having that break actually, I think, has helped.
Let everybody kind of reset. I think that's happened across the SEO overall. We've seen a lot more like people doing like working on financial policies,
Yeah.
working on
Because
their bid policies, just the paperwork you never get around to.
So a couple of years ago, I was also Kingdom Exchequer for Meridia's. And again, huge job.
Right.
We've got multiple states, 5.
Yes, I was involved with your job because my wife was exchequer
It
in
was
Osprey.
exchequer.
She's like,
And,
I hate this, and you're like, I hate
I
this
hate
too.
this too.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot to do. And like, if all you're doing is just keeping up, there's no time to make process
Right.
improvements. You can't do both at the same time. And it's pretty intensive. So having that break, I think, has helped the SCA as a whole. Despite how much I hated this whole not being able to do the thing I love, I do think overall it will be good for the SCA.
There you go.
All right.
Excellent. Who's up next?
Who wants to talk
Thank you.
next?
Who wants to talk next? Odd, you got any stories? Come on. Yeah, give us an odd story. All of them be odd stories at this point, right? Also, guys, there's please come eat the donuts. Jesus. Take the donuts. Take the diabetes. Come on, yeah. All right. Introduce yourself and tell us your stories.
Hey everybody, I am Odd Hunderson. Played in the SCA for on and off for several years, I suppose.
Just several?
I stopped counting.
Fair enough. Okay, it's too hard. It's too.
Numbers and math.
You've been hitting the head a lot, right?
Oddly enough, not in the SCA.
Oh, well. Okay.
That's another mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, fun stories from the SCA. Actually, the first Gulf Wars I ever came to was the Gulf Wars I decided to start making mead.
Okay.
And we were at the Shadow Legion party, and we had entirely too much of their mead.
Right. Yeah.
And I lost track of my buddy after 4 mugs, and I don't remember a whole lot after 6. But one of the moments I do recall is I was staggering around camp, and I was hungry because fat guy sense started tingling. And I said, "There's food over there." So I start wandering that way, and there's a line of people. It's okay, cool. I'll get in line and get to the front of the line, and we'll get food. Except when I got to the front of the line, I still had my mug of mead. And I get to the front of the line, instead of someone handing me food, they hand me a wagon. Like a little radio flyer wagon.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? And I look over, and the guy next to me's been handed a wagon. He's climbing in it. I said, all right, I guess I'll climb in the wagon. And I sit down, and somebody gives me a push.
Oh, God.
This is at about 2 a.m.
After 6 mugs. Yeah.
What I found out later was the wooded hillside for the ravine battle. So 2 a.m, it's dark out, I'm drunk off my ass, and somebody just pushed me down in a wagon. No.
Oh, okay.
But I did not.
Yeah.
I did not spill my meat.
Yeah.
And then I got to the bottom, and the other guy who beat, I think it was a knight because he had a white belt on.
That usually means the night.
Yeah. That was the one indicator I remembered from that. But I got to the bottom, and somebody came to collect the wagon, so I figured I better get out of this. And I stand there just like, I'm at the bottom of the hill. What do I do here? And then my fat guy sense started tingling, and I went, oh, food's over there. And I staggered over for a kebab of chicken and then wandered off someplace else. And
that defines Gulf Wars right there. This is that right there is the other half. We talked about all the good stuff in the business. Nope. Parties and food.
yeah.
Stuff like that.
I believe you.
Palantir
That was
wagon
not
races.
what I expected when I got to the front of the line.
They've done sumo wrestling. They've done all sorts of things.
All right.
So
yeah.
that's my fun story from Gulf Wars.
All right.
Have a donut.
Of course you can have a donut. Is that what you came over to get a donut?
That's one reason I came over here. Yeah,
A donut.
this.
Donuts.
I got a donut.
Fancy platter even? There you go.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks, Odd. Appreciate you, man. Who's next? Come on, Keisa. Come over. This is Keisa's first Gulf Wars, so she can tell her first Gulf Wars experiences. Oh, I'm sorry. The tent was flying. I was involved. I was dead. I do want to hear your like walking in.
My walking in?
Like, what did you like? What was your first? Sorry, let me fall down.
This is a very nice background.
Right, it's a good yeah. So Leah Kacha just showed up. He's gonna comment her for the door staining behind us.
Yes, she did a fabulous job.
So it makes a good background. I like it. So everybody knows Keisa.
Hello,
Thanks,
I'm
everybody.
Keisa.
So your first Gulf Wars
Yes, it
and
is.
her birthday tomorrow. We have another birthday girl in the room. I'm going to introduce her in a minute too. Yay! I'm alive. So today is like we'll look at today, right? So what was when you drove in today and started seeing all of it? What was like what hit you?
Excited seeing all the merchants and thinking about all the money I'm going to have you spend on me.
Yeah, that's the thing.
No, just seeing everybody and how excited everyone is. And last night there were people in camp that were like actually chanting, "We're home, we're home." And I was just like, wow, it's my first time and it already feels like home.
Right.
And everyone here has just been absolutely amazing. The tiny child is wonderful.
She means Eswin, who's on the porch currently, whose tent
we do have the winner of the sculpture contest here.
Leo
Leo
Kacha.
Kacha.
All right, we'll get Leo Kacha over here
Yes.
next. we gotta introduce her to the cameras.
But literally everyone from adult to small child will help you with anything, carrying things.
Esmond
anything.
dragged a wagon full of wood for us yesterday.
Yes,
like
loaded
our bed
it and
slats. She's
carried
like
it.
loading the cart. She's like, I'll help. I was like,
Every person who's walked in,
50-pound cart. She's just dragging it around. you know?
yeah, she's gonna be a pelican before you are.
Probably. That's true. That kid's gonna win.
Uh-huh.
So, what do you look at? So we got still a week left. What do you
Yeah.
what are you most looking forward to this week?
One of the things I'm looking forward to is a lady
Gudrun?
Gudrun is doing a leather pouch making class.
Oh, yep.
And I've been recruiting people, and we're looking forward to go over to that and make a pouch. And I like making takes, make something I can,
You like going home with things, even if they had popsicle sticks. You like going home with a thing.
Yes, I have a very limited attention span. So if I can have a thing I'm working on while you're talking to me and teaching me a thing, then that is much better for me. But parties, the ones that are scheduled and the not scheduled ones.
I on the schedule. There's all the socials and the Austrian chilling out. All those are on the schedule. Then there's all the ones you don't hear about until you get here and you start finding people that know about them, like the Shadow Legion Jello Shot Party. That's not on a schedule anywhere.
Nope.
You all know about it now. So if you're here, come find me. I'll get you over that direction. By the way, shout out to Shadow Legion. I didn't catch the gentle's name, but they bought me coffee yesterday when I was talking to Odyssey about today's show. The guy he bought me a cup of coffee. So I was like, so shout out to Shadow Legion. They're good people. So
Speaking of coffee, have you talked about Odyssey yet?
of course I did. You were getting dressed when I talked about it.
I was.
Yeah.
I
If
will
you're
say
at Gulf
again,
Wars, go get some coffee from Odyssey Coffee.
if
It's
you're
good
not
stuff.
at Gulf Wars,
That's
year
true.
round, their coffee is amazing. German chocolate.
That's what we got today.
Was this
It's
a German chocolate?
Yeah.
And Highland Grog.
The Highlander Grog is good. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. So they have a frozen like mocha coffee. It's like slush that I've been seeing. She's like, we try to do other stuff, but people just want the frozen coffee. I was like, fair.
I mean, did they just make coffee and it accidentally froze and now they're capitalizing on it, or?
just chipping it away.
Oh no, our coffee froze. Shh. Here you go.
I'm excited. I mean, this is gonna be a good week for us. I'm looking forward to partying with you too much. We have so much meat. Shout out to Viking. Everybody knows Viking. It's on my channel. Tierna Viking from Radiate. He sent us with. I feel like a bootlegger leaving his house. There's gallons of.
We were worried about potential for being.
Had I got pulled over, I would have gotten arrested for the bootlegger. So
yeah.
All right, you ready to trade out?
Yes.
High five.
Woo!
Thanks, Ethan. Hey, Leo Katja, come here. Also, first Gulf Wars experience. Oh yeah, we also have cordial. Shout out to Sifa, and I help too. We have a pear cordial. We have coffee over here. I have fancy coffee. I have German chocolate coffee. Don't drink that crap over there. What are you doing?
Hello, my friend Cal.
Hi, Leo Katja. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm done.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
So this is Leo Katja, the winner of Esmond's sculpture contest, apparently.
Yes.
Tell us about your sculpture first.
Well, it was an elimination process. We had to do it twice. There were 4 of us. My first sculpture were 2 knights on a drawbridge with lances,
Okay.
riding horses, and that
What
made me
did you
through
make
the
it out of?
spare wood blocks from the work that's been going on in the dining hall.
Because here, I'll kind of pan around. So you see the dining hall is not quite finished yet. They're still working on it. But this is like a freestanding dining hall in Southern Consortium camp. They built from the ground up. So it's impressive.
Yeah. And then my winning sculpture was a dragon sitting on a top of a tower with a princess inside.
Oh, look at you being all cute and stuff. I love it. So this is your first Gulf Wars, like 3rd SCA event ever?
3rd SCA
Right.
event ever, first Gulf Wars.
That's
yes.
called jumping into the deep end, folks. And she's like in camp with Southern Consortium, which is like the pre-camp. No offense to anybody else out there. So when you pulled in, so you got to experience the whole troll line, like from scratch. What was that like for you?
I didn't know what to expect. Joffrey had told me that the line could be like hours long, and I was thinking, I hope I'm not going to have to stand there in a walking line. But it was in a car, and it went pretty good. I wasn't in the line that long. It was maybe 30 minutes. They did a great job trolling in and keeping the cars moving. And then to find the camp, I actually had to call Joffrey because it was my first time and I didn't know where I was going.
Because there are signs for like all of the public stuff.
Right.
But the camps, you're just on your own.
Yes.
You got to figure out, like, there's a Southern Consortium sign once you get close enough.
Yeah, and with all the tents and everything, it looked just like a sea of canvas.
Oh no, dead soldier. All right.
But after that, it was kind of easy to figure out, and then it was easy to go and get parking, and then walk back after unloading everything. So it really wasn't that bad.
What are you most excited about this week?
Probably meeting new people and taking some of the classes and helping out and trying to get a start with my persona here.
To try to start it with you. Tell us about your persona since you're still new to this.
My persona is Leo Kadja Digash. It is my grandmother's name, and it's a 6th century Spanish saint's name.
Okay.
So I'm going for an mid to somewhere between the 9th and 12th century Slavic, Western Slav or Eastern Slav to be specific, to honor my Polish heritage and try that. But I'm still working on my garb right now. I'm 14th century.
When you hang out with Joffrey, it's infectious.
Yes.
You just kind of
14th
That's what
century.
you do, yeah.
And I've already made 2 pieces of my own garb. I made a chemise, and I made this.
To show off the hat.
I
the fancy
made
hats.
my St. Bridget's cap
Yeah.
on Friday night before I left, and
then lost it. Within
and then
30
lost
minutes of
it
being
within
here.
30 minutes.
That's my fault.
That's
I
his
found
fault.
it later.
He found it later, but it's been amazing. I mean, when my first event was Castle Wars, and it was the emotion of the whole thing and seeing it. It wasn't a feeling of going back in time. It was a feeling of being where I belonged in a
Right.
time period where I belonged. It's really weird feeling, but it's almost like I've done it before and been there before. And it was just like, it was just an incredible feeling to be somewhere where it was almost like a deja vu. That's the
Right.
easiest way to say.
There you go. Excellent. Thank you for being
You're
here.
welcome.
Awesome.
Thank you for
And again,
having me.
good job on the doors.
Oh, thank you. I can't take all the credit. Master Joffrey built them, and I stained them.
It's very well done.
Thank
I'm
you.
impressed.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but
And just jumped in to
beautiful.
help. That's the important part.
yeah, and I don't mind. I learned a lot about woodworking doing that, and a lot of bad words.
But a lot of bad
No,
words.
just
I get that. No, that's fair. Thank you for
But
being here.
You're welcome.
Good seeing you.
Good to see you too.
Hey, sister. Come here. You shouldn't have gotten near me with the camera on. Come on. Get up. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Come on. Come on. Come say hey. You just got to say hey. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I am Lady Sarah Duckworth.
This is my sister. Belt sister. We're sisters. Tell us your favorite Gulf War story.
Ooh. Oh, I don't know. I've got
Pick one. Pick a good one.
when I got a brother.
That's not Gulf War story. That's before Gulf War stories.
I've
Like-
been coming to
like
Gulf Wars for 20 years now.
20 years now.
20 years.
Pick a memory. We heard about a golf cart in the lake earlier. We've heard about that. We've heard about Gulf
I haven't
NATO.
heard that. I was
Yeah.
here for Gulf NATO.
We've heard
we had a
about
little bit
emotional
flashback.
support ferrets.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Unfortunately, I don't have.
You have a good Gulf War story? You ever getting drunk falling down the hill or?
No.
Not that you're gonna admit on
unfortunately.
camera?
Nope.
Fair enough. All right, back to work with you, woman.
All right.
All right, you else got stories you want to tell? You got stories? Viking Raid? All right. I think we'll end with the Viking Raid because I was going to talk about it. But I was like, that's a Roffin story, clearly. And game. Oh yeah, and gaming. Yeah. All right. So one thing that's interesting about Gulf Wars is there's a couple of themed battles.
Mhm.
The Viking Raid, the Deed. There's a samurai one now that I
heard about that. Yeah.
They're all you have to participate in. You have to meet the criteria set forth by that group of people.
Right.
So the Deed has to be all 14th century
High, yeah, like
high
goth.
period glossy fancy armor.
Yeah.
The Viking Raid. Tell us about that.
So yeah, the Viking Raid, we've been doing it for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years now at this point. And yeah, so you have to have a minimum requirement for your kit and your armor. Basically, we're trying to reproduce as much as possible within this SCA safety context. I say that I used to be Earl Marshal, so
Right. That's important.
So, but basically want to replicate the look and the feel of what people would wear and use within the Viking Age, which lasts basically from like 700 to about 1066, where the Battle of Hastings, et cetera, et cetera. And we get together and we do the Viking Raid, and we'll have scenarios around like one side's encampment and the other side's raiding that encampment or all that sort of thing. But because everybody is even the spectators, like we'll dress in like as period appropriate as they can. It's really neat to see that kind of, because the SCA is very, and I don't mean this in a bad way, SCA is kind of generic. I mean, if you want to do Roman, you want to do Japanese, you want to do Viking.
Hodgepodge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually one of the things that makes the SCA really cool is you have the creativity to do whatever you want. But sometimes seeing those like focused, like very precise things and everybody doing the exact same thing is really nice, because the deed is also very cool that way. I'm actually going to try and find that samurai one we're talking about too, because again, I'm sure they've got the same requirements. You have to have an armor kit that matches, feudal Japan from X to Y, whatever the years happen to be. But it's just a really fun time, and everybody enjoys like the deeper dive into the time and the place and the culture of that time period.
Right. So I was reading through I'm not going to get to go to the Viking Raid this year, which is terrible because I've got the Rose Tournament and the Meridian Social at the same time. You have to also bring. There we go.
We're back. Yay. But yeah, absolutely. So if you are of a given rank, and especially if you want to like bring a kind of a subset of an army with you, like I've got 3 or 4 people I'm bringing along with, you're also expected to contribute commensurately to the loot crate that's at the end, because it's a 2 sides. It could be like Swedes versus Danes or something along those lines, and whichever side wins the most gets the pile of loot that goes along with it. So again, replicating the whole raid thing. So if it was me and I wanted to bring, if I said, okay, I'm a Jarl and I've got a little bit up armored because of that, but I also have to bring at least 4 or 5 people with me and contribute more to the loot pile.
Which I like that, because it's something we don't in the SCA often really. Like, we deal with our royals. We have their king and queens that have their larger stuff. Past that, we don't really deal with that a whole lot.
Right.
It's something that, like, you talk about, like, you're like, oh, yeah, I'm a Jarl, but I don't really talk about it. Like, I'm a knight, whatever. And I think that's fine for some people, but I like having that, like, almost forced for a minute to really delve into your rank in the world, right? I think that's a neat thing. And have people have to bring those treasures really makes you think about it for a second, I think,
Yeah, it kind of goes with the whole concept of, those who are worthy are expected to give back to the community that has acknowledged their rank.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. And I'm sad I can't make it this year. Like, I'm hoping to sneak by between stuff just to kind of wave a little bit. You guys are doing something afterwards too that's new this year. As part of not just the fighting. Was it flighting?
Yeah.
Flitting? What is that?
Yeah. So it's effectively almost like a poetry insulting contest.
Okay.
If you played the most recent Assassin's Creed game, they go into this a little bit, but flighting is like it's almost like a modern day rap battle where people will like kind of go back and forth, and whoever does the best, not just insulting, but insulting in such a way that it's clever and it's wordplay and it's kind of like those, ooh, you got him. And it's something new we're trying out, because we're trying to not just have it be about the fighting per se. We want to bring more of the cultural aspects too. Like we've talked about, maybe one year, like we'll make sure people bring food and stuff and drinks, so that way after the fighting, everybody kind of get together in camaraderie and indulges in food and things that were happening during that were available back during the day.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about Gulf Wars is it's, because I think you're right. That the SCA is a hodgepodge, and you'll see that here. Even in camps you're in, you're going to get, even in the Viking encampment, there's a lot of not Viking people hanging out.
You get like Anglo-Saxons or
30 people.
Yeah, I know.
Now there are some camps, like early period life, for instance, that has a very specific requirement. If you're going to be in that camp, you have to meet these sort of standards, because they try to maintain that the magic, I get the illusion, right? Renaissance Village is another good one, right? Southern Consortium here, we have some rules about maintaining at least period looks in camp. It doesn't have to be the same period, it has to be some period.
There's like no modern tents, that
right? Or they're hidden at least. So there's some of that. And there's camps that are not like that, but there's different varieties. But I like that you can walk through Gulf Wars and you're in Renaissance Village and you walk like 10 feet down, and like you're in the early period life. Like you get those two very different sides of the world within the one event. And I think that's really neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else we're talking about?
Yeah, we've also got gaming night
Oh, yeah,
tomorrow.
oh, yeah, thank you.
If you're here at Gulf Wars, which if you are, you're probably not watching this stream because the data access obviously is not all that great.
No, it's terrible.
But every year at Gulf Wars, we have a gaming night usually on Monday nights, and it's one of the things that I'm kind of really interested in. But yeah, if you're at all sort of games, board games, card games, anything that was related from done anywhere from like ancient times, like 3,000 or 4,000 BC, all the way up to what was our cutoff date, 1600, something like that. Yeah. So if there's any games that were played during there, we all come together on Monday nights and we play anything and all the things. It's a really fun time.
Where can that be found?
That'll be at the Onstjoren Gates. What's today? Sunday? Yeah. So tomorrow night, on at 7:00 until everybody's done. So it could be 4:00 in the morning.
Bring your swag, bring your dice. Right?
Yeah. And there is a little bit of gambling, not for actual money, but for like beads and bubbles and all that kind of stuff. So you could win yourself a nice little loot pile and make yourself a treasure necklace or something out of it.
Tuesday night, Cock and Feather Gaming Tavern, Master Joffrey will be doing games in the Renaissance Village.
Yep, I'll be there for that.
If you don't get enough on Monday, come hang out on Tuesday, play games with us there.
Absolutely.
Wednesday night is the Meridian Social.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play some Viking Yard games, come hang out with me there. I have we have Giant Jenga and Hunkerhauser, and
that's fun.
Yeah, I also something about like a bottle jousting. Apparently, it's a thing. You ever heard of bottle jousting? Oh, I'll teach you the world, sir.
Jousting.
So apparently, bottle jousting, for those that are watching, is you stand on a bottle, like a wine bottle, sideways, with a stick in your hand. There's two people, and you can only hit their stick. You can't hit them.
Okay.
So and it's whoever falls off first, right? It's like Hunkerhauser.
Huh.
Bottle jousting. There's also a peel. There's some stick game. It's basically tug of war, except you're holding a stick with your right feet together.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to put your all enough balance, but only holding the stick.
There's another fun one. It's so you have two players, and there's a chest between you, and both people are blindfolded. And you put one hand on the chest, and you're blindfolded. You can't see, and the other hand you have basically like think of a sock with like clothes in it. So it's a flexible
case.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So and one person will be like, "My lord, do I have permission to hit you?" And they say, "You can try." And it's all sound based. So you have to keep your hand on the chest, and as you're both kind of circling around, can't see anything, bumping into each other, and trying to hit each other with this like weighted sock thing. It's fun. It's lots of fun.
And that's what we do.
It's even more fun for the spectators. To be
that's more fun to watch, I think. So. There you go. All right. Anything else?
No, good. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna do some closing remarks. I appreciate you, Ed. All right. So let's do a little business real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So coming up next on Kal-bardr's Corner, first of all, we have a meet and greet today. So if you're still here at Gulf Wars, come hang out at the meet and greet immediately following the show. Here shortly, we've got food and drinks and whatnot. And next Sunday, Ramut will be back with Her Excellency Fiametta. So another Road to Retention show. Everybody knows Fia from the last Coffee with Cal episode. She is amazing, and Ramut is going to be awesome. That's going to be a good show. They've got some opinions. I will not be teching that one. Justine will be backstage helping out because I'll probably still be here or in the middle of packing still. So look forward to that. Also got the next Coffee with Cal up. I don't have the graphic for it. The next Coffee with Cal will be the following week. It will be Perfection is Not Needed, joined by Countess Laurel Gwynn from here in Radius. So looking forward to that. If you want to support Kal-bardr's Corner and KK Productions, everything we do here, look us up on Patreon, patreon.com/KK Productions. Enjoy the grand wall of patrons. We'll be sending out the new rewards next month. And of course, look us up on Redbubble. There's some stickers out there. Search KK Productions. And check me out on TikTok at Kal-bardr. I'm going to try to do some stuff with His Majesty James here from Gulf Wars on TikTok. So look forward to that. All right. Thanks, guys. Oh, yeah. I just saw the Ravens table pop up. Check out the Ravens table, Duke Raffin's YouTube channel. It's in the YouTube comments there. Got a lot of good. His game tutorials are much better than mine because he actually does history and I don't. So he wins on that one. But, he's like a peer and stuff. So that's what you do. Anything else, guys? We got it? We're good out there? Hold on. I got to finish the coffee. Hold on. That's too much coffee. That's not going to happen. Hold on. Keep it going. Come on. All right. Whew. I got a tiny stomach. That was a lot of coffee. That, folks, is an empty cup. And I appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate everybody here watching. Woo! There you go. But for now, this has been Cal and a whole lot of people in Kal-bardr's Corner. Have a good time, everybody.